Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. This is the LFC Transfer Room podcast, labelled The Room, and thank you all for joining us today. We have a special guest on. We have, obviously, myself, one of your co-hosts, Ritchie, and I'm joined by YouTube sensation Matty Orm. How are you, Matty?
Not bad. Positive. The Reds have bought someone, been a few good results, full fit squad. Happy.
Yeah, that we'll get on to the what you said there last, the full fit squad. I can't remember the last time we ever had that. And we're joined as well by a special guest, Owen. How are you, Owen?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, mate. Yeah, it's been quite a few good last few weeks. Been just chaotic, really, isn't it? Like, just so much news coming in from Liverpool, which is quite unusual nowadays. But very promising time to be a Red for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a prodigious writer now, aren't you, for the LFC Transfer Room page? How's it all been going?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, just obviously it's kind of hard with all the schoolwork and just revision. So but I always enjoy writing articles. Yes, great experience for sure.
Excellent. Good. Well, I'm glad that you enjoy it. And yeah, we like reading your work. If you've not read any of Owen's work, it's definitely worth checking out. So head over to the website and check it out. We will start with the game last night against Leicester City. And it was nice not just to win, but we were just talking actually before the podcast, and I said it's quite nice not to have a heart attack every 90 minutes. It was a routine 2-0 win where Kasper Schmeichel, I think, stole the show for Leicester. I think he was certainly their best player. And I think really, jury's out of who our best player was. We had a selection of talent that you could have chosen for man of the match. I thought Van Dijk and Matip were sensational. I thought Thiago was brilliant. And then obviously you had Jota and new boy Luis Diaz cementing his place really in that Liverpool team. I did not expect at all for Diaz to hit the ground running just as quiet as he did. So, I mean, Matty, first impressions. I mean, we saw him as a little cameo in the FA Cup, but Premier League debut. I'm glad that he got brought off on 88 minutes so we can see the cop applaud him. What did you think of Luis Diaz?
I thought he was decent. I had quite decent seats yesterday, so I've seen a few people moaning about him being out of position a few times, but it did look as though the front three were alternating. Sometimes Bobby was going out on the left, sometimes Jota was, and then Bobby was going on the right, and Diaz was slotting in the middle. And I think that was more down to Diaz's fluidity with Jota and the Portuguese speaking and stuff like that. But I was impressed with him. I think he's very good at pressing. I think he's got more to offer. I think once he's a bit more confident, you'll see him cutting inside and a bit like bending up top in and stuff. But I do think he's exciting. I like that he was pressing every ball, even balls that looked dead, pressing them. Like in the FA Cup, he got that ball from Nottingham to get the assist. So I do think he's a fantastic player. And like Klopp said, he already looks like a Liverpool player. And I do believe that. Like, I do think we've probably found the next Mane Salah-esque player who we've got on the cheap who turns out to be unbelievable for us.
I tell you who he reminded me of in his tackling and in his ferocity was an almost Luis Suarez character. I don't know if it's the South American footballing genetics, perhaps, but he was hunting everything down, but he flies into tackles as well. And there was a couple of moments where I was wincing, like, I hope he's not going to hurt himself because he was flying into everything. It did remind me of Suarez, that street footballer type that they just don't give anything up. Suarez was built in that mold as well. So, yeah, I'm expecting big things. It looks like, I tell you, Michael Edwards, it's so sad that he's going to be leaving. I know we've got Julian Ward, who obviously looked over that deal, but it looks like they've got another absolute gem for 35 million. Owen, what was your impression on the match last night and the Colombian Luis Diaz?
Yeah, I thought it was a good game overall. Took us a while to get started, but when we did, it looked sound, as we always do at Anfield, to be fair. But Diaz, he looked quality. There's no two ways about it. I think it's not many times you see Jurgen Klopp drop a player straight into the first starting 11. He just doesn't do it. And I was very shocked to see him there, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, if you're ready, you're ready. And it shows with him that he's already quality. He's adapted quickly. And I think it's a sign of a really, really good player to come. That kind of chemistry we had with Robertson on their left-hand side was just unbelievable at times. It was like they've been playing together for years. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant signing for us. And, yeah, he fits the mould. He's just a perfect signing, good age. I just can't see any faults in the deal. And I think people need to remember as well, anything he does between now and the summer, he was meant as a summer signing. So anything he does between now and then is only a positive and a bonus, really.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I think he, I think when Matty said about him being caught out of position, I thought defensively, he tracked back well, but sometimes defensively he also got caught on his heels, especially I think when Leicester was in one time and there was a very, very easy 1-2 on the left-hand side and Robertson obviously got caught as well, following his man. But apart from that, they're things he's going to learn at Kirkby Training Complex. He's going to pick up those things. He looks really raw. He looks like a great talent. And he looks like he wants to run with the ball. If you saw him, he was on the last shoulder several times when it looked like, if the right ball came across, if perhaps Thiago would have been on one of those balls, he would have found him and ran through. So, he's certainly going to look like one hell of a player. And I hope that he is. I mean, talking about Thiago, Liverpool have 100% win rate when Thiago has started. That is crazy.
Thiago Alcantara is one of the best midfielders I've had the honour of watching at that stadium. He is unbelievable. It's just keeping him fit, really. But if you keep him fit, he's world class. He's absolutely world class. He uses class. Him and Fabinho have got some mad understanding, and it works. If Fabinho goes a bit further forward, Thiago will drop back, and vice versa. And Thiago's so creative when he's getting that chance to go forward, and I feel like he feels like he can be a bit more creative because he's got that protection of Fabinho behind him. Because whenever them two link up, like you said, the 100% win record, that's unbelievable. I think Thiago's a world-class player. He's just struggled a little bit with injuries, but I would say most of his injuries, bar the one he's just had, hasn't really been his fault. The time he's only really missed because of COVID. Other than that, there was the injuries that he's had haven't been his fault. He's been crunched, and he's had the knock-on effect from that with his knee. So I don't think I think that's half ruined Liverpool, sadly, with his career. But he's been fantastic when he's called upon. I love him.
He I saw an analysis, and when you said about Fabinho dropping in, he does what Wijnaldum used to do when Fabinho gets pulled out. If Elliot's going too far up, or whoever it is playing in that almost 8 role, Fabinho drops in obviously across the cover, and Thiago can just see him dropping in, and he just drops in as that 6 as well. So we always ask about the double pivot almost, don't we? But when we're in defence, or when we're actually getting back in a defensive position, Thiago does drop back and do that, and it does give that back 4 and Fabinho so much more defensive cover. And Thiago is that intelligent; he just does it naturally. I was watching him press yesterday, and he presses, but when he presses, he doesn't just press the man; he presses the space, and that's exactly how you should press. You don't ever press the man. If you watch Manchester United do it, you watch Bruno Fernandes do it. He is very good at pressing, but he presses the man, so he runs towards the man. And what you have to do when you press is you press space, because if you press a man, you might win the ball, but he can also pass out. Thiago closes in that space so that nobody can, he's not necessarily going to tackle that man, but that man is completely cut out then, and then the rest of the team can press with him. And that's what Thiago does absolutely fantastically well. Keita started doing it as well. And as Ayush just said, Thiago is the orchestrator with Fabinho being the anchor man. And it does give Elliot more freedom as well. And, I was quite surprised not to see Elliot start, if I'm honest. I thought he might have the first 45 and Jones have the second 45. But perhaps, absolutely no point in rushing him back, because I thought Curtis Jones had another solid game, and the future certainly looks bright for Liverpool in that midfield. That being said, the future's not going to look bright for 2 unfortunate players, because they're going to have to be dropped. If Henderson and Mane are back against Burnley, 2 people are going to have to be dropped from the squad. So take your pick, boys. Who are you going to drop from that, from that starting squad? Not necessarily the 11, but the squad.
Well, it's kind of difficult to say, really, because I think a lot of it depends on where the players are fitness-wise, and only Klopp can really know that. But I think Curtis Jones, maybe give him a rest. I think coming back, he hasn't played a whole lot of game time this season. But yeah, I think maybe bring in Henderson for Jones, and then I think Mane then comes back in for Diaz. But I think you two have just summed it up right there, really. All the about Thiago and Jones and all the midfielders, really, about what's about. Thiago's just looked absolutely brilliant. He's a world-class player. There's no 2 ways about it. He's just, you can tell just the intelligence, and he's been at Bayern Munich and Barcelona. I don't think there's much more that needs to be said.
I don't even know who I'd drop. I really don't know, because I feel like for me, I think our strongest midfield is probably Fabinho, Thiago, and Elliot, if we're being completely honest. But then obviously Hendo gets into that team quite easily. I'm being honest, I don't think that Mane's going to start over Diaz on the weekend. I think he'll save Mane for Inter Milan, because that's on the Wednesday after. So I do think Diaz might start at the weekend, and we'll then see Mane against Inter Milan, because Diaz will probably play on that last man with the Burnley. They're going to play low block, so he's a tricky player. It's the type of player you want in them type of games, really. But I do think Hendo will start on the weekend as well, more than definitely. And Anthony reckons Salah's going to start for Bobby. I think that as well. But it'll be obviously Salah on the right and Bobby and Jota down the middle, which I just want to see that best Portuguese player in the world, in my opinion, up front. Perfect.
Yeah, easy peasy at the moment. He's complete. And again, another gem found. We had a free run at him. That's the scariest thing about that scouting, is that we had a completely free run. Now, if we would have went in for Adama Traore, the Sharks would have been circling that season for him, because that was the one I thought that most Liverpool fans perhaps wanted. And when Jota came out of the blue and it turned out that no one else was in for him, I mean, people must be kicking themselves now. But what a bit of business again from Edwards. So moving on to, I suppose, the summer transfer, really. What does the Luis Diaz do? What does this transfer do to the players who were previously linked to, the likes of Jeremy Doku and Serge Gnabry and Raphinha? What do you think happens there?
Well, I think it depends much on who leaves. I think Minamino and Origi are both kind of certain to depart, but they're not really key players. I think when it comes to kind of Mane or Firmino, obviously Salah's contract situation hasn't been sorted out yet, which is worrying. But I think it depends on them. If they leave, then it means that somebody has to come in. And I think you've got to remember about rebuilding. Example, which some may not like here, but Man United in the 90s and the noughties, they kind of, even they were dominating, they were selling and rebuilding, buying better players, kind of building for the future in order to sustain the success that they had. So I think, although some fans are kind of go, oh, Mane, Firmino, what they've done for the club is so good, and they are legends, there's no doubt in that. I think we have to be mindful that, yeah, we want success in the future as well. We don't just want to win now and next season. We want to win for the next 10, 15 years. So, yeah, we've got to keep that in mind.
I agree. I think Luis Diaz looks very exciting. He is only 25. I do think Mane or Bobby, one of them, will probably depart next summer. I don't think both of them will. I think one of them will get a new deal. Maybe Mane might go, and because he's probably thinking Diaz is going to come in and get more minutes, Mane might go to Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, somewhere like that, where it's a little bit less intense week to week. But I'd be sad to see him go. I don't want him to. I want them all to get new deals, to be honest with you. I think they've all still got a lot to offer. Diaz is exciting. Jota is unbelievable. But I do think still that Liverpool's in the Champions League final tomorrow. I do still think Jurgen Klopp would start that Bobby, Salah and Mane front three.
I don't know. I can see Jota in over Bobby. I suppose it depends. It depends who we're playing, doesn't it? Because Bobby's absolutely fantastic at interlinking play. But again,
Bobby was unbelievable last night. His pressing was unbelievable.
Yeah. He's always unbelievable, though. He's always unbelievable.
Roberto Firmino with fans is just a different Bobby. Like he was all over the pitch. He was fantastic last night, and it's good to see that, because so many people write Bobby off, and he's very good at what he is told to do. He's not meant to get many goals. He's not meant to get many assists. He's meant to drag players out of positions, and that's what he does do very, very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it for years. Bobby's role is to create the space for Mane and Salah to drive into, and that's why they get so many goals. Jota now is banging on the door. He's second in the Premier League, a long way behind Salah, to be fair. But it's tricky for Liverpool, because obviously the front three are all up in 18 months' time, and I can't see, if Salah is going to get this mega deal, I just cannot see Liverpool breaking the bank for Mane and Firmino too. I think Raphinha now is perhaps a bit of a pipe dream. I think he's not going to come in and want to be Salah's understudy, because let's face it, Salah's the main man. If Liverpool keep Salah, he will keep on that right-hand side. I think Jota will go through the middle, and you've got Diaz or Mane on that left-hand side. So I think Raphinha might be a bit of a pipe dream. If we're looking at Jeremy Doku, he seems perhaps a little bit cheaper, but again, I don't know about how much you'd have to pay. I don't know if he's got a release clause, actually. It might be worth looking into. But I mean, I know he's only 19, but I was actually going through his stats. And again, stats tell not too much, I suppose. You can only read stats or manipulate stats into a certain way. But Jeremy Doku's actually played 93 professional games, and he's scored 14 goals and registered 13 assists. Now, there's a lot of hype around Jeremy Doku, and I thought perhaps, I know he's 19, I know he's raw, I know that Klopp will get those numbers way, way up, but that's the kind of player I think that Liverpool would need to bring in, because we don't need to sign a superstar on that right-hand side. Doku could learn from Salah. I think that is a far more realistic signing. Somebody who's not already a superstar. Liverpool don't buy superstars apart from Thiago. You know, people who are already world-class. People used to say about Van Dijk, what a waste of money Van Dijk is, 75 million, rah. Now look at him, he's worth double. You know, in his prime he was. So Liverpool they might splash the cash, but they don't buy world-class superstars. You know, I think Doku might be realistic.
I don't think anyone attacking wise is going to come in.
Even if Mane and Firmino go. Yeah,
I feel as though they've got a lot of faith in Cade Gordon, a lot of faith, and he does look the real deal. The sort of slim bits that we have seen of him, he looks exciting. And then obviously we're going to be getting this kid from Fulham as well. I watched the Fulham game against City the other day. He looks a real player. He reminds me a little bit of what we used to get out of Coutinho at Liverpool. I feel like he could come in and do that role. And obviously the front three then would probably be Jota, Diaz and Salah. And then you've got the likes of Cade Gordon, Carvalho behind them, and then Elliott can play in the front three as well. So can Curtis Jones. So there's plenty of backup for that. I think we're probably more going to focus on a midfielder. I think that's a lot more essential with us losing Milner. Henderson will probably go into that Milner role in the latter stage of his career. So we do probably need another midfielder. And I think the only one everyone wants is Bellingham. It's just whether it's affordable. But I really don't think. I think Luis Diaz was the attacking option that we wanted. We've got him, and I really don't think because we'll buy another one, to be honest.
Owen, what are your thoughts on that attacking lineup? Do you think that if Mane and Bobby do leave, do we need one other person to come in, or do you think that will be it? As Matty said, you know, Kay Gordon does look like an absolute baller, and if he's going to start next season, you know, we saw with Elliott. Elliott didn't really. I know he went out on loan and he played in the Championship, but he was thrown straight into those first 4 games in the Premier League, and he was more than ready. So who's to say Kay Gordon can't do that?
Yeah, I think we do need another attacker, if I'm being completely honest. If those two leave, even if it's just one, I think you've got to remember as well with Mane and Firmino, the amount of games they're available for. They aren't injury prone at all. So kind of you take them out and then you get injuries. Obviously, Diaz, we don't really know yet how he'll do on the injury front, whether he's going to be absolutely sound or he's going to pick up a few. So I think we just got to be kind of wary. We've seen before in seasons where we haven't bought a defender. This season we didn't buy a midfielder, and this kind of not hampered us, but kind of we definitely could have done with one over the last month or two. So I think we just got to kind of make sure that we're not leaving ourselves vulnerable. We know kind of the hectic schedule that in the modern day really that football brings. So I think we just kind of got to make sure that although we like to rely on the youth, we don't want to kind of overload them and put too much pressure on them. So yeah, I think that's what to focus on.
He's only missed 6 games his entire career. I've just had the look then from injury, Luis Diaz, so it does look
pretty good.
Got a good injury record, but then obviously the Premier League's a different kettle of fish to the Portuguese League One, so see what it's like. But I do think them South Americans are built different, aren't they? I think he'll play.
I think Suarez's injury record is absolutely phenomenal, you know, across his career, not just at Liverpool. He's missed a handful of games in a career span in well over a decade, nearly 2 decades. So they are built differently. So yeah, let's have our fingers crossed as well, because, it's looking good for the Reds, we had ups and downs, and as every season is, 9 points now is the difference. And if I'm perfectly honest, 9 points is not a lot. not when we've got to play Manchester City, not at the form that we're at. Man City can be got at. Southampton showed us that. And I think Man City are a team that would crack under pressure. I know that they go on amazing runs. They've had their amazing run of the season. You know, they had that run. They've got to have a blip. And that's what I always look at. Liverpool had a sort of blip, didn't they, where we was almost at panic stations. But now we've got everyone back. For me, there's no excuse that we're not going for all four. If our players, most of them can stay fit, as long as, you know, let's be honest, as long as Salah, although, you know, we can still play in front three without Salah, Fabinho and Van Dijk, as long as they don't go down, and perhaps Trent, you know, I think that we should be competing on all fronts.
I think we will win the league. I still do. I'll believe it until it's physically, mathematically impossible with this Liverpool side. They've defied the doubters so many times over the years. So until the math says we cannot win that Premier League, I do believe we can. And like you've just said, playing Man City, we beat them. That's a 6-point game anyway, because they're dropping 3 points and we're gaining 3 points. So that does help. So if we win our game and 6 points behind, with still to play them, that doesn't really worry me. City still, this transfer window didn't buy a striker because he's not coming till the end of the year, so they're still without a striker. Yet they've done all right this season, but I still think that they might fizzle out. A few months ago, everyone was saying Chelsea were a main contender, and they fizzled out. So I do think that even Pep's come out and said he's more worried about Liverpool, and I don't think it's over. I think the Champions League, I'm quietly confident about that one. I don't fear no team in Europe over 2 legs, and then the leg in the final. This team's just winners. The mentality is unbelievable. So I do think we could win that as well, to be honest. And the League Cup, I think we're going to win that. Better I'd win it, considering the entry times an hour and a half before kick-off that we've got to stand in the ground from. So you better I'd win it or I'll be fuming.
That's going to be so big, though. Like, the League Cup is, and it has been very important to Manchester City, not just for the turning over of the silverware. You know, Pep wins silverware wherever he goes. I think it's a huge momentum builder. You win one League Cup, they want the FA Cup, they want everything. You know, it's such a big momentum builder, and it will be fantastic. I can't see past it, but a final is brilliant because anybody can win it. You know, it really doesn't matter. So yeah, you know, and as our Helio says as well, Man City have headed for another Premier League title without a proper striker, probably the second season in a row now. And no player from Man City in the top 10 goal scorer list. That is crazy to consider. They're the second highest goal scorers. I think they've got 57 and we're on 60. So yeah, when Man City go out, and it doesn't look like Haaland's going to Madrid this summer. So yeah, let's see, because if they do get a Haaland, they might just romp home for the next 7 years. But we'll see. Moving on then, we've got Burnley and Inter Milan. 2 wins, Matty, yes or no?
Definitely. I do think 2 wins, 2 easy wins. Inter aren't all that anymore.
Barrella's suspended for both as well, both games.
Yeah, and I think losing Conte is a massive blow. Really rate him as a manager. Burnley, be interesting. They got Weghorst now. I think he's a decent striker. I think he's better than Chris Wood, to be honest. But they're still going to play that typical low block, boring football that Sean Dyche knows and loves. But that's where I do think that someone like Diaz and Salah and that can make a difference. They've got that moment of magic. And Elliott as well. I think Elliott will play against Burnley and make a difference. And 2 wins on to the next, I think, after that.
Owen, confident?
Yeah, I'm always confident when Liverpool play. It doesn't matter who we're playing. I'm always confident that we're going to win. So I think Burnley, you'd expect it to be a standard win, but you never know what can happen, really. United drew there the other night. I know they're not very good at the minute, but you never know. And Inter, top of the Serie A, so I don't think you can really be kind of writing them off overly, but at the same time, Serie A is not the league that it used to be, or at least the top teams in it, AC Milan or the other teams really aren't as good at the minute. But I think it'll be an interesting game for sure. Going to San Siro, obviously been there already once this season. But yeah, I'm just kind of looking forward to that European stage again. It's been a while now since we've actually been playing the Champions League, since the break. So I'm just really looking forward to it, especially the Anfield game. Yeah,
and Inter have got a very tough fixture on Saturday as well. They play Napoli, who's second in the league, a point behind them. Obviously, Inter at the top of the league, so that's going to take it out of them as well. That's a dogfight, especially because Inter have a game in hand. Again, it's another 6-pointer. If Inter win that, they go 4 points clear with a game in hand, so they're going to go all guns blazing for that, and then they can perhaps take their foot off the gas. But with that, obviously, comes Liverpool straight afterwards. I know we're away first, which to me favours Liverpool as well. If we can nick a goal over there or two, they've got to come to Anfield, and Anfield on a European night, there's nothing else like it. What I will say is
that works, won't it? Because there's no away goals this year. I'm dead intrigued to see if there's any power shift or if the ties really matter. Now, with whether you play them home or away first, so that'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think we'll walk into Milan. I think you'll see it more in other fixtures where, say, the one goal catches it, where if it was the rules last year, the other team would have went through. That's what'll be interesting to see, really.
Talking of Champions League, I just wanted to ask you, I've got my answer. Who is it that you fear the most?
Nobody.
You have to pick one. That's not the game. You've got to pick one.
Across 2 legs or one?
I don't really fear I don't really fear anyone over 2 legs because we're always back at Anfield. So I suppose it would be the 1 leg in the final. Who would you not want to play in the final?
Manchester City. I wouldn't want to play them in the final. I think over 2 legs, no problem. I think the Anfield crowd can go on their back. Champions League night to Anfield is special. I think we can go on their back from the Etihad because it's quiet. Got a big away section there. But in the final, it's anyone's game, isn't it? It's 90 minutes of football where the Champions League's not for the end of it. So that's what I don't want. I can't be bothered with the whole Klopp versus Guardiola bollocks. That's good that'll come out of it. So I'd rather just not avoid them till I'd get City in the next round if we could, to be honest with you. I think we'd walk them in 2 legs, but final, nah.
Owen?
I'm trying to find an argument for like Chelsea or Bayern to be kind of difficult or make an argument there, but no, I don't think.
I mean, they're 2 very good teams. Still 2 very, very good teams with dangerous players in that squad. So I think they're the 3, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of. I don't want to bring the whole atmosphere into it, but I think over 2 legs, Chelsea and Bayern is definitely a lot harder than Man City. But I think if you're talking about a final, kind of what's on the line for Man City, that makes it kind of just a mental game, really, as well.
Hager makes a good point there, though, doesn't he? Because he bottles it all the time, Pep, every final.
Tries to do something ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I feel like the next time he gets to a final, he might screw his head on a bit. Who knows? But I'd avoid, even like Bayern Munich, and that don't worry me. I've seen comments about a fully fit Real Madrid. It doesn't worry me at all. Even PSG doesn't worry me. Messi can't score there. It's sound. It's just City in a final that worries me, really. And in a final, if you've got PSG, Mbappe's head will already be in Madrid, so he's not really going to be that bothered. He knows he'll probably win it with them because they're on a mad one. But I think I'm quietly confident Liverpool win the Champions League this year.
Yeah, going back to what you said, I mean, I know that it worked out well for us in the end, but that Tottenham, when we got Tottenham in the final with Madrid, I was like, I wanted to play Ajax because I thought Ajax would play into our hands, and also it's not ever as bad if you lose to a foreign team. Now we're quite lucky that Manchester City don't have a lot of fans anyway, so there's no one really to rub it into us apart from the helmets on Twitter. But I really did not want to lose that Tottenham Hotspur because I do have quite a few Spurs fans. I didn't want to lose that Tottenham Hotspur final, but it will be, it's the same cliche, the best of the British. They've been going at it for 5 years, and it's if Liverpool get to another final, fantastic, and I think Liverpool will do the business in the final.
Yeah.
We will leave it there though. We've hit the half-hour mark, and thank you to everyone. Ash makes a good point. PSG could be dangerous in the final, but again, it's Pochettino. Pochettino's always got something in him. Something in him that just stops him winning silverware. He couldn't even get past Nice the other day, but let's not jinx it too much. But thank you all for joining us, and we will see you again on another edition of The Room, the podcast brought to you by LFC Transfer Room. From Owen, from Matty, and myself, take care, and as always,